Good day. My name is Steve Smith, and I will host today's candidate forum. This candidate forum is brought to you by our fantastic LMOA Broadcast Committee. Please thank them for their service. As I'm sure everyone knows, there are 4 openings on the board at this particular intersection, and we have just 3 candidates. The new board's first task when they convene in June will be to nominate and confirm a resident who will serve as the 7th board member, and that resident will serve for 1 year. Our elected candidates, new board members, will serve a term of 3 years. My objective as the host in this candidates forum is to get the candidates to talk as much as possible, and you'll hear very little from me. We'll start alphabetically with 2 to 3 minutes on who you are, maybe something you said in your candidate application or something you said on the LMOA website. We'll give you 2 to 3 minutes to go through who you are. We'll start with Mary Jane, go to Reach, and then go to Rich. Tell us a little bit about you. The people out there haven't met you, not necessarily all of them, but when this airs, people will want to know more about you. Tell us about you.
All right. Well, first, thanks, Steve, for having me in the broadcast committee. Thank you for doing this. Who am I? Well, I'm Mary Jane Warner. I was born in Alabama. I recently retired from banking after 30 years. Had a lot of experience in different forms of banking, branch manager, cluster manager, mortgage broker, and just a regular CSR on the desk. So I've had a lot of experience with customer service and also financial situations. So that's my career. As far as being at the lake, this is a community that I absolutely love. It has given me so much, Steve, over the 10 years that we are been here, that my husband and I have lived here. We moved here because my grandchildren lived close by in Charlottesville. And so I moved here to be part of a community and really to be part of their lives. And then I started to get involved with the lake. I joined the broadcast committee first off, the first day that we moved in practically, because they said they needed help. So I was here to help them with that. So I've been camera 2, and I dare say I've been to a lot of board meetings because I've filmed them my 9 to 10 years that I've been here. So I've seen a lot of different boards, and it fascinates me and it excites me to be a part of that because we've had some great leadership in the past, and I love that. I've also been the past president of the newcomers twice, and I also was the leader of the History 13 group for 4 years. So had a lot of involvement in the community.
Thank you, Mary Jane.
Sure.
Reese, you give us a little insight into what got you here, what you like about it?
And who I am. Well, I'll start out with who I am. I'm a person who cares about communities and has always left any place I've worked in any place I've lived better off. Devoted my life to public services mostly. Worked with rural communities out in South Dakota. Managed environmental programs. Set up regional environmental economic development programs. Worked for state, local government. Brought change to a lot of those communities, particularly small towns. Took them from the this is the way we've always done it to there's a better way to do it. And so specifically, you know, I've, in this community, every community I've moved to, I've gotten involved. I've served on local boards. When I was in the Williamsburg area, I was chairman of their planning commission at the James City County. Moving here, I always get involved immediately. I took the Fluvanna Leadership Development course, which everybody's got to take. You get to know everything about the county. You get to meet the elected officials. You get to meet the service people. You get to meet the historians and the community leaders in the different group. And got myself appointed to the Economic Development Board because I got upset about taxes and went down to the Board of Supervisors said, you got to do something to get the burden off the residential residents here. We need development. And so I've been working on that. As I said, I care about the environment. I got appointed to the Rivanna River Basin Commission. And so I represent the rural interests on that board. And I did it in 2 minutes, and I still have 57 seconds, but I'll be glad to speak more when we get down to that. I've been a change agent every place I've been. I've done reorganizations. I've done executive recruitments. I've done major reorganizations. I've been on both ends of recruitments and both ends of reorganization and change. And I know change is tough. And that's one of the things that we'll be talking about on what issues I want to address most.
Thank you, Reese. I think you're in good company. I think there are a number of Savannah leadership development graduates here. I know the number of people here. I went through the program. Excellent program. You get to know what makes the county work. And that's a key part of working at Lake Monticello, getting the two to work together.
Yep.
So I really think that's a great idea. And Rich, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, Rich Russell, thank you for having us. Thank you for doing this today. Name is Rich Russell, moved here 9 years ago next week, I think. So I've been a resident for 9 years, been involved in the community in a number of ways. My history is as an engineer. I graduated with a computer and electrical engineering degree and have been in software my whole career, which is about to wrap up. I expect to retire within the next year anyway. So wrapping that up. So lots of experience with data. I've been in management as well, so certainly not a stranger to working with people. Wife and I bought here in order to be closer to her family in Richmond, and again, want to be involved. Feel very strongly about this community. I have been involved. I guess the two most well-known things would be part of a group that does volunteer boat rides. That is, volunteers that do boat rides for basically anybody that doesn't have a boat. We've done that for about the last 3 or 4 years, given over 150 boat rides all told. Great program. We've really enjoyed that. And I was on the committee to organize the fireworks once they could no longer be at the beach. They are now at the golf course. Mm-hmm. Of course, we did the test run last Labor Day, and I'll be heading up the volunteers to man the fireworks operation, not the fireworks themselves, but everything else. They wouldn't let me light anything off personally. They wouldn't let me anywhere near the truck, truth be told. Yeah, heading that up this year as well and looking forward to it.
Good opportunity to do a little community service because the fireworks, I'm sure, will be incredibly popular with the 250th anniversary this year.
That's the plan.
And I think everybody is glad that they're back on the calendar.
Yeah.
So thank you all. Thank you all. If we can spend equal amount of time, we'll go left to right, so Mary Jane will get to go again. What each candidate sees as the most important issues coming before the board. Now, there's always surprises, be it COVID, be it ice storms, be it lake issues, or I guess we had an issue on wake boats the other year. Mm-hmm. Before that, there was an issue on jet skis. Mm-hmm. Came up out of nowhere, board made some decisions on it, and we handled all of those. But what do you see as the biggest challenge in the next year or two during your tenure? Not what you do with them necessarily, but what do you see as the biggest challenges? Mary Jane?
Well, Steve, when Mike and I bought here, the quality of life that we've experienced here and the people that we've met, I've made some of my new best friends here just through activities, but the quality of life at the lake is amazing to me. We have at all. We have amenities that are the pool and the golf course, but we also have just an outstanding community that likes to give back, and we have traditions too. Like, for instance, the fireworks is one, but it's not just the fireworks, it's the whole weekend. I mean, I mentioned to somebody the other day that we have those skiers that have a flag and they stand on top of each other, and they were like, I didn't think they did that anymore. And I'm like, they do at Lake Monticello, and it's a community, and that's what I love about it. And when I looked at the situation. I felt like we were losing a lot of good quality leadership. We are losing 4 people on the board. And, everyone doesn't agree with what the board does, every decision that they make, but I can tell you from the side of camera 2 that the people that are on the board, they take it seriously and they really thoughtfully process everything and try to make the right decision. And I felt like there was a real need for more leadership. And, I think of myself as a very straightforward person. I don't play games. I don't have agendas. I'm just not like that. What you see is what you get with me all the time. And I really value that, and I want to bring that to the lake. I also feel like that I want the quality that I bought into to stay at that level or grow. And I would like to see it done in a cost-efficient way. We have a lot of challenges coming up. We have lake health. We have the dredger. We have all the amenities to keep up. There are a lot of decisions that will be made, but you have to have a financial willingness to see what we can do the money for and what we need to not do the money for. And the other thing is I'd like to see us grow like everybody else. So fiscal responsibility, but also keeping that quality of life that I bought into, that you bought into, that people expect at the lake. That's very, very important to me. And I like to keep the finances under control and waste to not happen, but to just keep a watchful eye. That's very, very important to me. And then also grow where we can. Technology is a great example of how we might be able to grow at a cost-efficient way. So I'd like to see some of those things incorporated as a board member.
Thank you. Reese?
Well, I'm going to start with maybe not the most important, but the one I'm closest to, as well as get involved in the community. I got on the ECC because I was a planning and zoning administrator, and I spent the last year driving around every street in the whole development, and I've seen the good and the bad. A lot of our services are slipping. A lot of our enforcement rules are vague and not enforced as well as they are, and that's part of the problems. Is some of the again, I think technology will help us. I think we need some more resources in doing some of the things like having our departments clean the ditches like they're supposed to, taking care of the dead wood and trees on our properties. But most importantly, our rules are lacking and our policies are outdated and aren't followed. And I'll give you a couple examples. And you need to have good policies, and we're all sworn to live by our policies and uphold our policies. Our financial management policies say the chairman of the ECC does the budget, requests the staff money, and handles the fiscal reports for the department. Well, that hasn't been for years. Stormwater, and the management of dishes and stormwater is under the storm management committee, which hasn't been there. So there's ambiguity who controls that. I was talking to the police chief today in areas that he says we don't have good guidance and rules on procedures that we need to put in place. But I want to get back to what I think is the most important issue to us, is technology. We have a confluence of time here. We have a new board coming in. We have new eyes, a new general manager coming here. Our technology is outdated here. Our procedures are inefficient. The workers are frustrated. People are frustrated on the inflexibility of our website. So I've brought new technology to communities. I've worked with that. I've worked with change management. So we have a great opportunity. In our office, Copilot, it's amazing. When I do deals, I drop a picture in there on unsightly. It writes the letter on exactly the articles in there. It's just amazing what it'll do on that. Our administrative side, there's plenty of opportunities in administrative work, in finance to streamline. There's some jobs that can be made more efficient with less people, and physical jobs, you need them out there. So that's one of the things when we do the transition and hire the new manager, which is our most important consequential task, and how we handle the transition and how we look at our workflow and maybe restructure our business in the next year. And in the next segment, I'll talk about how I think my skills will add to that.
Thank you. And Rich?
I don't come in with a list of issues and agenda. I mean, clearly, like you said, there are some things obviously in front of us, right? There's a manager to be hired. I do think the lake health is important. I mean, how could you not, right? The lake's the most important asset here, and I think there's some evidence that it needs some attention. Beyond that, I don't have an agenda. I want to learn what the community feels like we need. I want to learn how the community feels we can do better, and work with my peers on the board.
Terrific. Well, thank you very much. And Reese kind of led me to the next piece here. And Rich, maybe you want to go first on. We have all kinds of skills, all of us. We've had experiences. What do you bring to the table that'll make you a great director? I always pretty much said one of the first skills I like to look and find in somebody is a listener. There's so much to learn from the staff, so much to learn from the people, and there's a lot of good people and a lot of good staff with great ideas. But what do you bring to the table that'll make you a great director?
Well, now it's going to sound like I copied your idea, because my very first statement would be, I want to listen before I speak, right? Especially as a new member of the board, I don't intend to drive the bus. I intend to, help move the bus along. So I do think I have a level head. I am a rational thinker, and I am data driven. That's, sort of the nature of my work and my career. I love the lake. I love this community. It's been a joy to contribute to it to the degree that I've been able to. So what I bring is a willingness to work with others, listen first, and make rational, sound, objective decisions for the good of the community. I can promise that.
Thank you. Reese, you said you'd worked with the Chesapeake Bay
Program, yes. I worked in the public life in high visible positions where transparency in processes, whether it's mining in the Black Hills, which is heap light mining, stripping mountains out. I've been called names, it's just, I've been county administrator. You get used to having to do business in a transparent manner. It's messy, but it's imperative. And I think that's important that we do, and that we are sure to always lay out before we do things in a transparent manner. I know the procedures, I'm familiar with it. And like I said, I've been on governing boards, and as I said, I've managed change. In particular, I've managed major reorganizations in state government. I've set up new entities, and I brought new systems to places. That's where I ran. I'm excited. I knew that the GM was leaving. I knew we had a new board coming in. I knew people were frustrated with our ability to deliver services, and we're going to have, like I said, just a revolution in the office. It's cheap and it's powerful. And we have this opportunity to analyze workflows and put in new processes. I've always worked with technology. When I set up the Catskill Watershed Corporation in New York, which was set up to do hundreds of millions of dollars of programs. I wrote all the rules on that. I ran a policy office for 6 years, wrote all the policies and environmental regulations in the state of South Dakota, statutes. I know policy, how to do that. You've got tools we can use. Again, just using Copilot, make this thing make sense, make recommendations on organization. We can add so much clarity. They like structure. Good rules make good neighbors, and I can bring that, and I've handled annual policy review for whole state governments, so I know how to organize looking at the rules. I've also served on boards hiring people, and I've worked as the chief executive office. I definitely know the borderline between their prerogatives and ours, but I know how to set up structure. I know how to manage transitions. We've got a beautiful opportunity here. It's the most consequential board, I believe, that you'll have in years, and we will set the course for years. And I think my experience can help bring some, it's teamwork with your knowledge and yours listening, that we can help over the next 7 months, I think, chart a good course and bring better things. And one last thing, we need a new strategy on aqua that I'll be willing to share someday on how we can help control costs.
Be careful, Rishi. Get me started on aqua and I'll go off.
Yeah.
We've had the campaign going now for 5 months, and we just crossed a threshold on the aqua comments of 1,000 comments. We discovered just the other day that Caroline County is actually chartering a bus full of people to go to the aqua.
You think your fees are
hearing.
high. Theirs are higher.
Oh, well,
But that gentleman at that meeting, I think he had the key to it on connection fees and looking at the cost structure, because that's what they really look at. And I can talk about it later.
okay. Well, thank you very much. Mary Jane, maybe you can tell us a little bit about the cooking at the lake. Don't forget to put cooking in the lake in there.
Oh,
I've seen a couple of those episodes, and making sausage is one of my favorites.
Oh, I'm glad you love that. Well, cooking at the lake has really been such a dream project. And I got to say that what started that to begin with was when I looked online when I was going to purchase here, and I saw a lot of non-positive situations. And so when I did get involved with the broadcast committee, we have that channel, we have all that time that we can fill. So I started cooking at the lake because I wanted some joyous things to be part of the lake, to show what a great community this is. And, you know, that does demonstrate a lot of my skills. If you watch Cooking at the Lake, which I encourage you to do, you can see that my nature is to ask questions and to find out really positive information, but also the truth. That's what you're looking for. And I tried to make sure on Cooking at the Lake that it was always something, if possible, that concerned the lake, an issue that was at the lake, or somebody that was involved that makes decisions in our lives at the lake. So trying to organize the information that you need and ask good questions to dig into the information that you need, so that when you do have to make a decision, you can try to make the best decision according to you. As I've been, well, I thought we were kind of, campaigning, and I know it's changed a little bit, but I still have been going door to door because I really want to hear what people have to say. And a lot of people are very content at the lake, but then they have particular issues, and issues I had never even thought of. And one thing that this is just an example, but somebody brought up the situation at the gate, the gate opening and closing and how convoluted it is. And so I went to the safety and security meeting, and they were talking about the lake and some alternatives. And I was like, wow, if you did this and kind of combined them, you might be able to, bring younger people in with a QR code, but also have the scan on, to try to combine some of the skills that our residents have, and then also some of the skills that new technology can bring. So, but I really wanted to go back and see why it is that we have the gate at the lake, So I started to ask questions of people that have been here a long time. And one particular person said, well, when I bought here, it was totally dark out here and there weren't many homes, and we traveled a lot, and it was security. I knew that my house was secure when I left for long periods of time, and the gate gave me that security. That's what she bought into, and that's important to people. You have to look at history, you have to look for the future, and I think my skill set is one that can ask the questions, develop a plan, and try to execute that the best and most cost-efficient way we can do, Steve.
Thank you. And we do enjoy cooking at the lake.
Thank you. I do. I love doing it.
To wrap up for the last series of questions here, I think what I'm going to do is offer you each candidate an opportunity to pick a topic, pick a subject here at the lake that they really feel is important, what they think might be some of the solutions to that topic, whether it's lake health, whether it's community standards, whether it's transition or training. I really like the IT issue because I do think our IT is outdated in a lot of different ways. But if you can talk to a particular topic for 2 or 3 minutes, and then have each of the other 2 candidates kind of discuss that issue, and the 3 of you see if there's a solution. Reese, do you want to go ahead on that one?
Sure. I don't know if I can use 2 or 3 minutes on it, but Aqua is you've got to look at what drives the rates and understand the structure of Aqua's rate structure. They use a hybrid unitary system, means they've grouped all the high, in our case, they've grouped statewide all the high costs where they have a lot of replacements, a lot of new growth, and that's how they do their capital costs. And then there's lower costs where they're more stable and don't have as much needs. So development in any place in the state that's taking place, new hookups and all that, will drive our cost. Because as we talked at the meeting, particularly since they're a private corporation, we don't know exactly in those developer agreements how much cost has been negotiated on cost in the plant and impacts on our deal. But we do know that we're going to have long-term costs on that stuff running through our systems, wearing our pumps out and doing all that. And as Aqua even pointed out, that their connection fees, which is the capital buy-in cost that's put in there for your buy-in and future impacts that you get up front that you can start using. So the key he brought in on that was, if you look at what they did in the rate structure this year, if you look what they do, our comments actually drive costs because we say we need more water pressure, we need this fixed, so that gets put in the capital budget and drives it up. You look at what they did on the rate reduction, they reduced things, they looked at 2 things, just cost. What are your costs? What are your legitimate costs? And they deducted out of there, you said, why we got a rate deal, you rolled cost over from the last rate increase that you rolled over here that should have been over there. So that cuts your capital cost down. Then they look at what's your reasonable rate of return. They said 10%, 9%. So what I'm saying is, whenever on those connection fees, which really doesn't affect us, everybody that's connecting out there, any new growth there is going to be adding long-term cost to us and drive our rates. Doesn't matter whether it's here, Fairfax, Arlington County, Carolina County. So we need to really, that rate stress specialist guy, he really gave me insight, and I hope I'm right on my thoughts here, and I would like to meet with him, is we need to analyze, is that the angle of attack we say? That you need to be increasing that cost, and more of these capital costs need to be taken out of that upfront collection fees. So I think we need to, that's where we got to focus on how do we get those costs reallocated. It's no different than our taxes where we want commercial enterprises to be paying more of the tax burden instead of residential. And that's why I like strategies on taxes, and it's one of my favorite, cost allocation. The best fee, the best tax is one that somebody else pays.
Rich, do you think there's any solution to Aqua? I mean, I would love to hear everybody discuss Aqua and maybe come up with an approach that saves us money and gets us better service. I understand the better service often costs more, but not always. There's always a way to do it smarter.
It would be some kind of miracle if the 3 of us came in here and had anything substantive to solve the Aqua problem. I have nothing on Aqua at this point. Again, I mean, I want to say, how would I? Right? I'm a resident. I have nothing specific on Aqua. There've been a lot of good minds on it. Reese, if what you're describing, I believe you've analyzed the problem. I don't know how it is we can entice Aqua to change their financial structure as you described. So
Just to add,
No, go ahead.
there was a guy there who said he did it all his living. He was very, very knowledgeable of it, and that's why I say we need to get somebody expert in rate structure and that cost to see what arguments we can make that you're misallocating too little on that. Even the Aqua representative agreed, and he's right. I work just in small towns and other places. These connection fees are way higher out in public systems and around there. So I don't know the answer.
Yeah.
But I just think just looking at it from a strategic standpoint, that might be the next avenue we look at and get some help to help us in that area.
Well, Steve, I have a little bit of a different approach, and I don't know if it would ever work, but you know, when it comes to business, if you have a monopoly, there's no reason for you to change what you're doing. I mean, you rule the roost. Why would you care what anybody thinks? Because you know you hold the upper hand. I went to a town meeting for Tenasco not too long ago, and Tony O'Brien was there, and he was talking about the pipeline, the water pipelines that are connecting throughout the county. Now, keep in mind that the lake has taxpayers of 91% of the county taxes come from the lake, okay? But I don't feel like we have that big of a voice sometimes in the county. But I was encouraged by some of the things that Tony talked about. Number one, he said with the new Amazon project that the pipeline for the water from the James has come to all the way to the Amazon facility. So that's pipeline that we don't have to pay for. That's done. Tenasco also has cooling water that is not contaminated, but they have to get rid of that water. Then also you have Fluvanna, who seems like now that they might be interested in building businesses and having businesses come to the community. If you want business in Fluvanna, you're going to have water. My suggestion is that we try to not stop what we're doing now, but we have to break that monopoly. And we have to come up with ideas such as extending the pipeline and being incorporated into Fluvanna's city water, because we will die without water. We have to have water. Fluvanna will die without water. They say, one poet said that if you're going to Richmond and you're going through Fluvanna, you better pack a lunch because there's nothing there. And they're right. I have been a branch manager in Palmyra, and the business is not, I don't mean to disparage the bank, but I'm just saying most people go into Charlottesville. But if we want Fluvanna to grow, if we want to be self-sufficient in water, we have to try a different approach. We have to break that monopoly. Now, how long that would take, I don't know, but a person has to have a plan. You can, if you've got a plan, you can divert from the plan, you can change the plan, you can re-up the plan, you can pivot from the plan, but you've got to have a plan. And I say that you can't just go at Aqua one way, you have to go on different levels. And that's what I'm interested in too. And any topic that we come up with, let's not just have one solution. Let's look at several solutions. Let's talk it out. Let's get some history. Let's do the research. We have so many people here that do research. I am amazed at the people that will come to the board meetings and they have pages and pages of research. And I love that. I really love that. So I'm excited about the idea of multiple plans and trying to work on things that work and follow those paths. And I hope that's something that I'll be able to do.
I can't tell you how much I echo all of those thoughts. There's many, many ways to skin the same cat. Being part of the Fluvanna water system might be a step in the right direction. We certainly have learned from experience having Aqua purchase the entire system and the rates going higher and higher. It'll be interesting to see what the State Corporation Commission ultimately decides at their hearing next week. But Aqua is always on everybody's minds here. It is a basic need for life, and it affects every family here at the lake.
May I put in another comment too that I heard Tony talk about at that meeting? He said that he had, the county had recently gotten a settlement from Dominion Power of $50 million, and he was hoping to use some of that money. Now, I don't know if this is truly exact figures, but I think it's $1 million per mile for a pipeline. So that money could go a long way to help a new pipeline. And if we're 91% of the taxpayers, maybe there's another pressure point that we ought to put on the county to say, hey, you've got a lot of money. the whole county, not just our neighborhood, needs water. What are we doing about that? So I'm excited about something like that.
I agree, because like what Tony said is you got to keep them from getting new customers, because that's going to pass costs. But I do know a bit about the 40 million through the Fluvanna Development Corporation.
Okay.
That money was given specifically because of the potential impacts on the groundwater down there, in where they did the sludge ash, or from the plant down there, old coal ash. that they
Yeah,
buried.
coal ash plant, yes.
So
It's inoperable now.
that water is dedicated to the Fort Union area.
Okay.
So it's for, and that's good. They're going to develop water systems down there, but
Yeah.
it couldn't be used for.
Well, that's a start, because they're doing it in another area. It makes it easier. And that's maybe, we're going to work as a team, I would hope. And that's what the board is about. We are representing you as a member of this neighborhood. We also are members of this community. We also pay Aqua bills. My hope is that we work as a team and we bring all of our strengths. Reese obviously has a lot of policy strengths. And Rich, I'm so excited about all the technology, because I think that we can really move forward with a lot of the technology and the brain trust we all have as the complete board. And I really think that's exciting.
Rich, do you have a topic that you'd like to discuss with the other candidates, that whether it's technology or whether it's something else? I mean, Aqua hits everybody's doorstep. It's one of those that you just can't go out the front door without water.
Yes. Again, I think you turned it to me for Aqua once. I don't have anything to add to what they're doing on that. I will pivot to my topic to discuss would be actually the more interaction among the different strata in the community. I think that we have a few great examples where you can find everybody from retirees to new parents to not yet parents. For example, all the festivities around the 4th every year, not just this year, I think are a great example. The bonfire, which has just been a thing in the last few years, great. I think we need more of that. I think we need better communication across the different demographics that we have here. And I think we need to take every opportunity to bring the demographics together. So that, to me, is an issue that we could discuss. I don't think it's a burning problem. I think it's maybe not even a problem at all, but there's definitely opportunity, and it's an important quality of life topic for a community like this.
I go to most of the board meetings, and it kind of disappoints me that people aren't more involved in getting to the board meeting to see the board in action.
People have busy lives.
Yeah.
I mean, how many people wake up in the morning and are excited to go to a board meeting that night?
And you can watch it on your big screen TV.
Yeah.
Or watch it and record
Yeah.
it.
So I get that. I think we could communicate better. I think the avenues we use are good for certain demographics. I think we are lacking a means to get to mostly the younger demographics. I don't think busy parents with young kids. I know busy parents with young kids don't have time to sit and scrutinize the GM corner that comes out every Friday. So I think we need better ways to get information to them that might get them engaged.
And Steve, like a third of our community is younger residents now. We are changing. And something like a barcode that they can just put up, I mean, the youth of today, which I love, and they use more technology and they use their phone a lot, and that's fantastic, and that can speed the process. So I really think that that's something that the new board has to keep in mind, is that we're not just one type of community anymore. We have different levels, just like Rich had said, and that's got to be a focus, and that has to be top of the mind when we decide on anything.
Yeah, I agree. It is changing, and sense of community is important. And in the past, when you had retirees, or you had a commonality. Now you're starting to get difference. But I mean, that's one of the things about this community, and what's very important is creating a sense of community. And one of the difficult things, and I don't know what you do about it, is a lot of our lots are smaller. And when you bring a lot of kids in, you got a lot of toys and a lot of stuff and, you know, a lot of lots that aren't even really conducive for them to play on. And we have really, you know, for a big, you know, if you were in a community of 10,000, 15,000 in the city, you'd have a lot of city parks and neighborhood parks. And I don't know what you do about that, but that's how you provide more recreational opportunities for the kids within here. And you've done things in years. I know you've worked on the parks and you've done some recent expansions here, but it is important to try to how do you bring us all together with that same sense of community.
This is such an incredible community
Yeah.
with parks and beaches and the lake and
Yeah.
the golf course. And I mean, even celebrate Easter. We have an Easter bunny. Celebrate
Oh
Christmas.
yeah,
That's
I
we
do
have
things.
we have Santa and we have
Yeah.
Santa's wife, and we have festivals, and we have a parade that goes around Jefferson when the graduates come out. It's an incredible place to live with all kinds of activities. But as you said, we're so diverse now, age-wise and all that. I didn't go see the Easter Bunny this year, but a lot of people did.
I don't know.
And we have to continue with those activities so that everybody is touched by what goes on here at Lake Monticello.
Yeah. I see a lot of them when I was driving around. And
Yeah, yeah.
too many skeletons, though.
Well, has anybody got any closing comments they would like to make? We're getting to about the right time to do a wrap-up here. If anybody would like to make a comment on what you see for the future of the board, I think this would probably be the time.
Well, I'd just like to say, well, thanks for the opportunity to even run. How exciting is that? I mean, you know, to be part of a group that helps move the lake forward, what an exciting time for me personally. And I just really am excited about giving back to something that has just really been a joy in my life, and that's Lake Monticello. So thank you.
Thank you.
Just, you know, like I said, I think there's going to be a lot of change just because of change of administration, change of board. Hopefully, some improvements we can make in that. And people get, there's a lot of anxiety with change, and particularly when when you involve the public, everybody has a different take on what's the right deal. And you know, I just having sort of share with people is you got to have a tough hide in this, and you got to just ignore a lot. I mean, I've been called names my whole life and things in the newspaper, and you know, but things have really accelerated with social media, and it just you're going to be maligned, and things are going to be taken out of context. And I just ask the community, try to just work with people. Don't take things out of context. And to fellow board members, it's just something you got to live with. And that was the worst thing. I'm used to it, but my wife hasn't liked it over my career, and so just
Thank you.
something.
I'm an optimist. I think actually the board and Tom have done a great job in the last few years. They've dealt with some tough issues. I think they've got the financial house in order. So I look forward to helping navigate what's coming. I don't think the challenges are insurmountable. We can hire a general manager. I think we can get that right. I think we can take on lake health and whatever else turns out to be critical, as well as the unexpected. So yeah, I think with the right attitude and the right people, that we can make this great community. We can keep it great and add some bits as well.
Thank you all very much. Voting materials, I'm told, will go out in early June. Same process we used last time. You can vote electronically. If you're uncomfortable voting electronically, you can go to the member services group. They will help you there. You will also be able to vote with a paper ballot there if that's how you choose to vote. But the most important thing you can do is vote. These people really would like to have your support, and the way you show that is to vote. So,
More money. We'll take donations.
yeah, that's right.
That's personally, you mean to like,
Yeah.
So thank you again very much. I think that'll wrap up for the candidate forum today. You'll get your voting materials in late May. Vote and maybe come out and see the new board when they are added at the annual meeting in June. Thank you very much. Have a great day.